'Tis but a scratch.
We are in Buckingham Palace, at the very heart of the British nation.
Attacked by Christmas toys? That's strange. That's the second toy complaint we've had.
Да, я знаю, что это звучит дико.
Butcher, he says that he wants a two spaghetti speciale, heavy on the meatball.
Right, gentlemen, we are the bravest and most superior men on this battlefield.
It's so powerful you are. Why leave?
Before we begin our banquet, I would like to say a few words.
He is so dumb. He thought that the Gettysburg Address was where Lincoln lived.
Hello to everyone who is tuning into our stream, whether in a live or in a recording. I'm very happy to see some of the old faces in the chat already. Hello, and I also hope that everyone is having a nice day, week, and the year so far. So please get seated, get comfortable, and get ready to learn some new insights. My name is Kata. I'm your loyal, valiant host, and I'm going to be your guide in this fun and insightful live stream. And of course, if you like what you see today, you can always join Animations Club School. Today, our courses span from 2D traditional animation and visual development to short film creation. It's perfect for new and established artists who are looking for unlocking their next level in their art journey. So you can join our school today, and by the end of the stream, become part of it. And be amazed, of course, by what you can achieve in the next year, week, who knows, maybe in the next day, you'll already see a boost. And today we'll be approaching a fun yet challenging exercise, a perspective in motion. How does perspective shape the way we see characters and how it sets the mood of the scene? What does a certain angle reveal about the environment's tension and space? and of course, how we can make characters move naturally in dynamic spaces so viewers feel truly in the scene and the volume and the depth of it. So, if these questions have ever bugged you, stay tuned into our workshop with Edward Kurchevsky, a 2D animator and director who worked on Primal, Scavengers Reign, and Tales of Alethrion. Edward will share his pro tips and tricks to help you confidently challenge any perspective. So, Edward, would you like to share something about yourself to people who are seeing you for the first time and give us a couple of words of what we're going to do today?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Kata. Yes, my name is Edward Kurchevsky. I'm a teacher in Animation Club School. We're gonna talk about perspective, one of the maybe not the most difficult, but one of the most confusing ones for the students. You know, like some people, when we start moving character in space, not really understand how the space work. For example, about like line of horizon, about the angles, lens, etc. How it's disturbed the perspective, how it's changed it, for example. So we're gonna talk about that today, and I hope to see a lot of questions from you to help you understand how to work in perspective in animation.
Perfect. By the way, since you've already mentioned questions, you can see that our chat on the right side from the live stream is active, and you can not only send us hellos, compliments, but also you can ask us questions. There are a couple of rules about asking the questions. First of all, they have to be respectful on the topic, and of course, they need to have a word question in all caps, so I'll be able to see it and read it out loud. Otherwise, I might get a little lost. I have a lot of stuff on my monitor opened up, so it's going to be a favor for you and for me as well. So, some of the questions I'm going to read right there in the moment if they fit the flow of the conversation, but if they're too juicy and require some extra time and discussion, they will be asked at the end of the stream in our little like Q&A section. So, don't be alarmed if I'm not reading them right away. Most likely, I have them saved up in my little notepad, also opened on my desktop. So, with that out of the way, we can jump into the best part of the stream, the actual workshop. And I'm giving the mic to you, Edward. So,
Yes, thank you.
ready
We can
for some
share
insights.
our screen right now. So basically, the perspective. First of all, you have to remember and know that we have different perspectives. In general, when we film something or we, like draw something. For example, like here in the beginning on the left side, we have like 1 point perspective. It's where like every major forms in the room on the screen goes to one vanishing point. It's like here basically we have a vanishing point just like here, and everything goes towards it, right? So this is like with like 1 point perspective. Here we have 2 point perspective, right? And 3 point perspective, it's when, for example, we look extremely up or down. For example, we see this distortion where third vanishing point appeared. It's like we have like one side of the building that goes there. It's like one. Second is here, and also the third one. Usually, we don't do that because it makes everything very dynamic and with a huge distortion. Like really, it's usually when we have like extreme angles, like really from like frog eye level or from the bird eye level. It's just like really extremes. And we have like 5 point perspective. It's like fish eye. So basically, we have it here. Everything goes there, right? Everything goes there. So we have 3, right? Like 1, 2, 3. And then we have also like going to this 4 and 5. It's super extreme perspective, and usually used in extreme moments or experimental, like in the shot, in animation. It's basically when someone get crazy or something happen like really like weird. Normally we don't see that kind of perspective. Basically like it's the same thing, like 1 point perspective, 2, 3, and 5. Just another example. Also example how this perspective look like in the real life. This is like 1 point perspective. We don't see like 2 points, only one here. I mean, yeah, in general like that. Just give me a sec. I have to pause for a bit.
By the way, since we have a little pause, let me ask the chat. Have you ever tried drawing something in something more than 2 point perspective, like those 5 perspective fisheye ones? I think I tried doing it a couple of times, but eventually everything fell apart and I had to redraw everything too much. So I try to limit myself only on very special occasions.
I have to take a delivery and I will be back in 2 minutes, okay? I'm
For sure.
sorry.
It's just gonna be me and you, Chad, for a little while. Also, I wanted to know if there are any students here as well in the chat who are here to learn something new, and if you are, from which course are you, and what do you call it? What exercise are you going through right now? Yeah, trying it at least as an experiment is a good idea. Just to see, maybe you'll actually like it. I remember I saw this, I think I've subscribed to that artist. I saw it on Instagram and on TikTok. It was like a trending reel. There was this person who built, I don't know how many points perspective that picture was, but it was basically like a set of stairs. And the perspective first was like, oh, it was so like hard. If I ever find it, I will definitely share it on, what do you call it? On Discord. But if you've been on Reels long enough, you can probably find it. Oh, you're a previous student. Ah, you finished the third course. Nice. What characters did you do? I think the third course they have the wave, the turnaround. No, not the turnaround, but like the head turn and the acting. What did you do for the acting? I love using the fisheye lens to distort my animations. It does look very fun. I think one of the first animations I ever did in Clip Studio Paint was like a little cat that got his face like distorted by the fisheye lens. Ooh, I'm doing a 2 perspective drawing right now. I've been practicing some backgrounds recently. I've been using ArtFight as an excuse to experiment with backgrounds some more. Ah, that sounds very fun. I wanted to join ArtFight this year, but I was a bit too busy. Ooh, nice pics. But yeah, I've been getting a lot of like content about ArtFight. I've been joined the Discord just to find out a little bit more, but I only joined the Discord and that was it. But I've seen people do like full blown colored like animations with beautiful timing and spacing, even acting. So, no, and Edward's back.
Yeah,
Welcome
sorry.
back.
Thank you so much. All right, so basically here we have like 1 point perspective, right? Then here, obviously, it's a 2, like you see here. And here you have 3, for example. You have like this. This chair goes in 2-point perspective. It's like when you have combined, right? Like combination of different, for example, when everything stays parallel to each other, it goes in 1 point, right? But when something start to turn, it start to create its own direction, right? And that's what you see here. Like for example, this chair in the beginning, if it was parallel, would stay here. Everything will be like that. But in the moment when it start to turn, you see like one point, and gonna go from this here, for example, and this point was kind of in the infinite. We didn't see it like in the infinity, right? But when it start to move, it start to go also like closer to us. And what we see here, it just this direction came here, and this one came to this point, right? So we have like 2 points for this chair. But yeah, basically, it's like that. You have like panoramic perspective when you have super long background, and you have like kind of fish eyes in 2 moments here. If you do, for example, here it's just like 360 degrees. It's what you can do if you want to do some kind of turn around, and what you can draw, because this like point like A and C, basically they connect. So for example, in this example, it's what you have, it's that. It's like that. So basically this connects to this. So this is like A, this is B, right? And this is a C. And how you can fold this like one panoramic shot into the 360 degrees. And the same here. Basically, if you come closer like that, if you move like that, you see, it looks like it's one shot, but you can do a fall, for example, of some character, and now you're gonna see some weird perspective. If you're gonna come closer, it's just normal perspective, just different angle, right? But in the real, it's like it's going to be like that. So perspective is very tricky, and it's very very, how to say, mind-blowing kind of in a way, but also if you master it, if you understand it, you can really do like realistic and cinematic like a look of your projects. Also, I found many pictures from the internet, so you're gonna see them. So basically, it's eye level. Eye level is what we call line of horizon. Usually, whenever we have line of horizon in the shot, it's basically our eye level. Here, for example, you have different angles. Like you have kind of the same street, but you can see this with these images, different eye levels. This is kind of our normal standard eye level. If we go above, we go. You see this sign, like on the on the, how to say,
On the pole?
yeah, it's going lower, right? Because the camera, the eye level goes higher, and this is in alternate. It's in inverse. It's going higher because we're going lower. It's the same thing here. You see things differently from different like if it goes above, we're gonna see it from below, right? So we start to see this part of the of the things, of the objects, right? Like bottom. And here we have a top, just because it goes differently to our eye level. For example, if you look at my camera, for example, you see my arm, my hand is just on my camera level. You have my camera level as your eye level, basically. If I make it like, if I go higher, you can like Vitaly, you can change to my camera, for example. You can stop sharing my screen. So basically, Ты можешь, Виталий, выключить демонстрацию экрана. And if you go like here, you see the bottom, right? But if you go like here, you see the top. Here it was in the middle, basically. You saw these like fingers, but the more you go there, the more you see from this and these sides. So it's basically what you have to understand. Let's go. Oh my God, let's go back. Let's go back to the sharing. Okay, so let's move on. So basically, it's again the same thing, right? The different angles, the more like more it goes lower, more it goes higher. We see different angles of the objects. So basically, here it's the same thing. It's another example that when you go higher, we see it like that, like from above, lower, 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 and from the down, like underground. Okay, so what about people in perspective? How are we gonna perceive their bodies, their basically movement as well? So here, on the bottom illustration, you have like eye level, and basically you have everyone's eyes on the same level if they are in the same height as you, like if they this like as tall as you. So basically you have them on your level, right? If they shorter, they are below you. If they higher, they like higher you, right? So in perspective here, okay, another example. It's how you can basically different perspective influence the perception of the shot differently. For example, here you can, with different angles, you can achieve like more dynamic composition, more like aggressive, or the camera and the composition. It's one of the tools that can influence your storytelling. Because it's not, I mean, the character, the poses, the composition, the angle, lens, everything influence the shot. Yeah, the depth, how they are in perspective, like angles like that. So let's go to this. So basically, again, how we perceive people, right? For example, here you can see our, let's say, guy stay slightly above the normal size of the human, right? So this guy, we are kind of like our eye level is a little bit above him, right? So everyone, if we're gonna see a lot of people, we're gonna see that the distance from, I mean, or if we're gonna see the same guy that's gonna move everywhere on the screen, this guy with the same size gonna have everywhere, it doesn't matter how close or how far he goes, gonna have the same distance, kind of the same, I mean, the same proportion distance to the eye level. He's gonna be everywhere lower. Of course, if you're gonna take the same pose, right? If you're gonna go like bend forward, he's gonna be lower. But if he just stays in the same pose, he's gonna be compared to our eye level in the same, proportion wise, like lower position. If, for example, there is another example of the girl with the balloon actually is our eye level. It's exactly on that eye level. So it doesn't matter where the girl will go, the balloon will stay on the same level. If she will not move it, if she just the same position, always is going to be on the same level. So this is what you have to really understand, because when people move the character, for example, when we have a perspective, or I can draw. Okay, all good now. So, for example, if you have a perspective right here, you have vanishing point here. So for example, my character stays right here. And for example, this is his like head, the body, and the legs, for example, right? So the eye level is going to be here on the like on the body. So basically, how to check? I'm gonna talk about it later a bit. Like how to check how big this character will be, like in this screen, like on this shot, if it's gonna go somewhere else, like here or here or here in different positions, right? How to find his size if we just decide that this, okay, this position here, this size I like, and it's gonna be like my reference. So basically, if this character will go toward the perspective, towards the line of horizon, it's gonna be here. It's gonna go there and there. I can, for example, import our beloved rabbit. I have to stretch it. Copy to the layer. All right. And for example, if my rabbit gonna be this big right here, it's gonna be that big here and that big here. Because we see how, you know, like how his size will change with the, you know, with the background, right? With the perspective that I choose. It's gonna be here. Basically, I always check his top point and his lowest point to this ruler that I created. And how to put him here, right? It's just basically, if you want to put him here, you can make this kind, you know, parallel line to the ruler. Go here. Okay, so he will be in the full size, that big, in that position. But of course, he's not gonna always gonna stay like straight in the you know, like in a T pose, right? So for that moment, you just, you know, take the reference of his proportions and draw some you know, like some pose, some maybe that dynamic one like this. For example, if it's gonna be like here, for example, or yeah, I can scale it. And just to see, you know, the difference of proportion. For example, you can check. You can even, you know, copy himself to the different layer and move it here. And flip it. You know, and check it how big difference we have here. For example, I see, okay, my head probably is too big. I will just adjust it. You can also like put behind him, be below him. You can use guidelines. It's a tool where you can import something like not a layer, but import you know, like an image that you can transform, and it will never change the size. I mean, the quality. It's always going to be as a reference. Good tool, very good tool to use, for example, to check how big or small my character will be. For example, if I check it like with this like ruler, I check, okay, my rabbit will be that big. Okay, so now I can move and put it just behind and below him and see, all right, so and I can draw. I'm gonna draw on this on my layer, and I can see, okay, so this is gonna be my proportions. This body will be that big here. Okay, why why I'm so sure about that? Because of the ruler, because of that measurement I did. I put the character right here and checked what exactly his position, his size in this position will be. And now I know that if my character will be here in that size, in that position, he will be that big. If we want to go like so super far, the same thing. You check, this is gonna be his size. But also, for example, if our character goes out of the frame, we're not gonna see his legs, for example, right? How to check his size in that case? There is another thing, another tool, let's say. Again, when for example, I can check his body proportions by going through his, for example, pelvis, his neck, and his knees, for example. And this position gonna be always the same for his torso, for his head, for his knees. It's gonna be everywhere the same. So even if I don't see the legs, for example, it's gonna be like here, I still know where gonna be some parts of his body. It's another tool that you can use to make your animation accurate in perspective, and not just make it on your eyeballs. Because sometimes when my students just like move character just by itself, I mean like by eyeballs, draw them in the proportion that they think it's accurate. Me personally, I really feel detached from the screen, from the shot, because here the character is that big, and here he's that big. I don't believe in that perspective, because he should be way bigger. He should be like that, not like that, for example. And I feel like, yeah, it doesn't work. Something is wrong. Maybe people who is not trained maybe to see that kind of thing in perspective, they will not maybe like see it right away, right? But they're gonna feel that something is wrong, especially if something important happens, and if it's not just one, if it's just constant happening in your animation, it's gonna be like kind of a problem with understanding the proportions and the rules of the world that you try to create, right? Because the main reason what we're doing here, like into the animation, is just let viewer and believe in our animation, believe in our world, and that what's happening on the screen is real. And if it's real, if he believes, if they believe to our animation, they can feel, for example, like empathy, sadness, or joy, like joy, happiness for our character. So they, character become real. This is what for me personally very important. That's why for my students, I always really like careful about the perspective, and I always say to my students to draw the perspective grid whenever we discover that's how it's influenced on our character. For example, we do on second course, we practice with the body mechanics. We do it's called dynamic shot. It's not necessarily should be like dynamic, something like run, or it's up to you, but it's called like that because we move in perspective. We move in the space by our foot. We go further and closer, and we have to understand how it influenced our character. So yeah. If you have already some questions, please ask, because it's going to be a lot of like theory, and I want to I don't want to make it just like talking without an examples, because it's not going to work that way.
Yeah, obviously. We do have a question from Loopy Arts. If it's possible, can we have the copies of the examples after the stream to study ourselves, or maybe you could provide the links to where you found the examples?
Yeah, unfortunately, it was a long time ago, so I cannot provide the links to the originals. It was just like in the Pinterest or somewhere. I don't like really remember, and I'm not sure if we can provide because this is kind of part of our lecture materials. So, I mean, it's what I usually like show people, but you can do screenshots, for example. So
Yeah,
it's not
that
not
also
a
works.
not a big deal. I mean, all material that you see here was basically found on the internet. So it's just an example, and the idea to practice on my lectures about the body mechanics. All right.
And
There is actually a very good book from the same author. I think it's I don't remember Mike. It was like about about the storyboard, like framed ink
let
storyboards,
me Google.
and was perspective in 2 tomes. It was very good. You can Google like it, framed ink, and it's very good, a very good book about perspective. So
Oh,
here,
yeah,
yeah,
it
so you
looks really
can,
cool.
yeah, you can share in the in the comments. And here, for example, yeah, like basically normal eye level, but you can see this guy went down with these stairs, so he's lower. So it means that not every position, like for example, our camera is on the neck level. Of course, when the people will move, they will gonna get higher and lower. So it's not gonna be the case. So the neck is not always gonna be in this line on this level, right? For example, this guy went down, so he will be lower of this line of horizon. And here it's opposite. We got lower, and people stay the same on the same position. Another thing, what is very tricky is the angle of the, I mean, the lens. If you sometimes, for example, even in your phone, you can zoom in or zoom out your lens, and you can check how it influences your, I mean, the perception of the lens. For example, when you do a portrait or something close, it's going to be super wide and super distorted. Or if you want to make it as accurate as possible, you have to make your lens more narrow, like more narrow, and it will make it like look like our eye perception basically. I mean, people who do photography, they used to say that 50 millimeters, it's basically the standard of our eye perception of the portraits. Because if you got like this, it's not what we see, right, every day. It's only with this kind of wide angles, right? So wide angles, the wider angle is, the closer vanishing point of the object are. So basically, let's say when the lens is wide, it can absorb the more information and packed it together in one image, right? So you can see here, it just disturb the reality, let's say, with this lens, and put it together. This is like what we see, like very very like accurate, straight, without any distortion. And when our vanishing points are very far from each other, it's almost like a flat sometimes can be. Yeah, okay, let's go. So the same example here. This is basically, it's from the framed ink. Actually, it's about the storyboard, storyboarding a book, very cool one. And this example, it's about that. About, for example, we stay kind of far from the house, but we use different camera, different lens, long lens. That's the further we are, it's gonna just like zoom in, let's say, right? We're gonna see super far, but very close to some object, for example. Or we can use a wide angle, and this object can go to us. So look, in the screen, this black like brick is the same. You see, it has the same size, right? But it just depends of the where we are and what lens we use. We just see the same. You see, we have the portrait of the girl, but depends of the wideness and narrowness, long lens, we see different perception of the same object. So it's all about that. You see, we have like wide angle, we see a lot of things, a lot of like landscapes, for example, and the more like narrow and long lens we use, the closer and closer we have like some objects. Also look check how perspective works here. We have, for example, here we have very big distortion. A lot of like vanishing points are very close, and here vanishing points are super far, you see, and this is just like they are extremely far. We cannot get to this vanishing point ever. We're not gonna get that big resolution of the screen, right? So it's just what you need to understand how it works, because it's another tool again. And the same thing as if we just get close. For example, here it's like if we want to have the same building, but we're changing the lens and we coming closer. So you see that this is from long lens, but we are far. This is from the, let's say, standard lens, but we are closer. And this is from wide lens, but we are getting closer and closer. But we see the same size of the building, right? But how different perception is, right? So it's like, yeah, it's about that. The same thing, you see, more narrow, I mean, more like super far, vanishing point, very flat, and very, like dynamic with wide angle. So again, how to check in perspective how our character goes. For example, if we want to run and we want to make the same distances from every step, or for example, we have something like to track the same exact distance from every point. For example, I want to see, for example, I have two positions. Like this is like one, let's assume that this is a one step of my character. This distance, like in a step before, my character has this size, step forward, this size. So how I can check what's size of the step will be in the next, right? To not make it just like on our eyeballs, right? How to check it? So basically, you create a square here and here, right? Basically, you make this line from the bottom and from the top position, and also you do diagonal lines. Basically, we're going back to school to study some geometry. Yeah, like that, right? So in geometry, this point is the middle of the square. Like the cross point of the diagonals, it's always the middle of the square. So it means that if we do this line always should be in the middle. This is just the middle. And what we do, we just create one line from this point, from point A, through point, let's say C, to get to point B, because this is our new diagonal line, and this is the middle point. So now we have, you see, a new, like kind of not square, how it's like, what's it, like прямоугольник. I don't know the name of it.
A rectangular.
Like rectangular, yeah, thank you. So, and this is gonna be this distance from this position to this position gonna be exactly the same in perspective. We can be sure that this is exactly the same. It's how geometry works, how perspective works. The same thing we do with every position. So we are sure that this guy with constant speed gonna go and make these steps. I hope it makes sense. So yeah, so it's how you basically study and learn and to understand the perspective. So yeah, it's basically how to understand, how to draw, for example, in perspective. Basically what you can do, you can also trick. You can draw the flat and then like rotate in perspective to understand how it actually looks like. To not guess, to be sure, because the further objects go in perspective, the narrow, the closer they are, let's say in the perception look. And also about how to think, how to like track if you don't have just like background on one line, if it goes like in a hill, for example, how to it basically you have normal position, but when you animate the hill, you just have to track, you just lift your vanishing point. So your standard vanishing point, I mean your line of horizon is here, and basically everything should go here. But if the ground is higher, it's like a hill, you just lift vanishing point. Let's say it's gonna be like here. It's not our line of horizon, but it's just like position of the vanishing point of the things that goes higher. You see on like here in this example, it's how it goes higher and lower. It's the same thing, but you just lower your vanishing point. You see, especially here, it's very good because you see line of horizon, you see how like where the world ends, but you also see how the ground goes lower, right? Because not always the ground goes to the line of horizon. It can be like on the hill, it can go down. It can go to hell. And the same thing for the every object that's a little bit different in the from the normal ground positioning. So if it goes higher, I mean, look, if this how to say, like Krishka, I forgot the name.
Lid.
Lead, yes. If this lead is attached and parallel with the box, the vanishing point of the box was here, right? So we just lift it, depend on the how far this lid goes, right? If this lid, for example, will go lower like this, then no problem. It's gonna be just like that, right? But if it's gonna go even lower, so it's gonna be a lower vanishing point and it's gonna go there. Hope it makes sense. So yeah, it's about that. Also, like for example, our line of horizon is always where our eye level or camera level is, right? But what if we don't want to go down like being a frog and see it from the bottom, but we want to have a line of horizon lower? How to do that? It means that we just tilt our camera. We just not look front up to the front. We just tilt. Not the background goes lower or higher. It's we're changing the angle of our camera, of our eyes. So basically, we just tilt. Look at this guy. We just lift the. I mean, we change the angle and we see the higher or lower, for example. See, and it's gonna change your eye level without getting like physically lower or getting higher. And what's about the character in volume in space? For example, here to understand better your character in space, how it moves, it's better to sometimes simplify it. For example, you put your character like in one pose in the model. Maybe you know that this is your beginning pose. You put it in the in perspective. and you understand the proportions now. Then you can go and take, for example, another layer, create another layer and simplify your character, for example, to see just the structure of it. Or you can just move on and keep going with your rough animation and just simplify your body, your character. You don't have to draw always in model with a lot of details. You can just create a simplified version. Like, for example, for this rabbit, I can just, for example, create like a square to understand the volume, because when I draw like a circle, sometimes I don't understand the volume, or I should draw the circle with this kind of circles, I mean, with the additional lines to understand how it works with like in perspective, in volume. This is super important to do when you do animation, because we animate not lines, we animate volumes. So you have to remember that. So this, for example, gonna be your head, but you can do it in the square. Or for example, you have like torso. This is like a neck, it's gonna be in the middle. This is another, like volume. Another volume. You see, and basically, of course, you're not gonna do all the time that, but you can you can precise your keys at least in a volume, and then when you're gonna go to breakdowns and additional frames, you're not gonna spend that much time, but you will be based on the keys, on perfect keys in volume. So your breakdowns will be it's gonna be way easier to get in the right volume. So, for example, you can create, for example, if you have the character in a different angle, you can create a box. But how to put your character in the box, or like how to know this character's like kind of distortion. Again, you can put your character in the straight box. For example, you draw your character like that, right? And you can create, again, diagonals. You can divide it several times, like that. And you can repeat the same thing on this box. If it's, again, it's especially useful for the keys, because, again, you're not gonna do the same thing for every drawing. But for the most important ones, if you have problems with understanding it in perspective, so basically, yeah, you understand already how it's gonna be. So basically this head will be this middle part, right? So this head will be somewhere here, right? So this is gonna be a head. In this kind of box, you have a torso with pelvis. So pelvis is gonna be here probably, and this torso is here. Then you have knees. In the middle part of the knees, of course. I know this is a mess, but I can try to understand what's happening. Like, for example, this line is this line, right? And my legs gonna be here, and I have another part. So I can understand now how this character gonna be in that angle with this kind of box. Again, when you're gonna practice with these kind of things, just to draw character in different angles, and you're gonna practice, with time you will understand without any construction and rule, like boxes, etc., how it will be in perspective. It's just to gain this knowledge first, and then use it. It's gonna be, everything gonna be in your imagination. I mean, in your head. Basically, the more you, as for example, let's have an example from the live drawing. The more you draw anatomy, the more you basically scan it with your brain, and in the end, you're gonna see, when you're gonna imagine some kind of part of the body, you're gonna see that 3D scan of this part or any object in your head, and you're just gonna basically, let's say, print it from your head, from your brain on the screen, right? So it's for practicing, just for understanding perspective, because it's very it's very tricky. People have a lot of problems with that and with understanding how it's gonna be in perspective, in proportions, and usually it's always connected to the, if they have problems, usually it's always connected to the problems with drawing skills. So when you do something in perspective, usually it requires more advanced drawing skills. To understand that, right? It looks very complicated, right? To not only understand the volume, but also to draw the human in the right muscles, right, with the right anatomy. So you see, you can basically, yeah, everywhere where you do something not flat, and we in traditional animation, we avoid the flatness by any means, because we are I mean, 2D traditional animation is so how to say how to say it's even better than 3D, because we have no limitations except our imagination and drawing skills. We don't need to learn how to use like software, or we don't need to buy expensive computers to do animation. We just basically have a pencil and let's go. And we want to make this kind of, again, 3D dimensional, to make illusion of life, that we are really like moving in space, coming closer, our camera can move, etc. And this all requires understanding of the world, and perspective is the fundamental foundation of the world building and understanding. If you do a character in the movement in the space, for example, when I was studying in Poland a long time ago, it was not very strong technical animation school. And I remember, like, from that days, my teachers told me, like, oh, never do animation to the camera. It is most important. It's not possible to do to do movement towards the camera, toward the lens. It's super complicated and it's not gonna worth it. Just don't do it. Try to avoid by any means. And it's exactly what we need to learn, to not be like in a prison of like limitations. We have to break these chains and move our character freely whenever we want. And this is gonna create real illusion of life. Done. I have nothing to tell you.
A little good motivational bit.
Yeah. Do we have questions?
Yep, we do, from Danny CZM, our student, by the way. And they have a question. When animating a chair moving and rotating, for example, like a person pulling the chair with an arc, how do you track it? Do you have to use some kind of compass guide to maintain the volume perspective?
The chair.
Yeah.
I think I would try to understand the volume of the chair first of all. For example, if what type of the chair it will be, right? For example, if it's gonna be that like big chair, for example, I would try to understand how this chair works. Because it can be tricky in that perspective. It can be different. For example, it can be that long, right? Or it can be like that short chair. It depends, right? So when it's gonna be on the side view. But usually, if it's like normal size, like it's kind of gonna be from above, like a squarish. So I understand that this chair will not get bigger than this. And basically, if I don't need to be very precise in perspective, but okay, if for example if it's in perspective like that, let's assume this is gonna be like this. Kinda, right? This chair stays here. I mean, it's gonna be more flat. For example, and if it turns in some direction, yeah, I can for example like how to say in like invisibly, just in my imagination, understand the direction where it goes, like that, for example. Or I can draw it even, for example, just to be sure the perspective how it works here. Right, it's gonna be, for example, somewhere here. I mean, I'm not accurately drawing, so it's gonna be the line of horizon is somewhere there. Okay, so it's gonna be kind of here. And if the chair will turn, it's how I explained to you right before. It's gonna just move. I mean, first of all, I have to understand where the middle point. Example is will be here, so the middle point will stay in the same spot. If chair moves in the same spot, right? And I will just move how I want. I cannot measure angle, how many degrees it turns. You have to decide by yourself. And it's gonna be more flat because it goes out of the screen, right? And I use a light table to be in the same level. And of course, if I have like, for example, drawings like a model sheet of this chair from different angles, I will try to keep the same kind of idea. If not, I have to draw it by myself and be accurate how director or how I want to have this chair, like what shape it should have, to not lose this shape. It's basically what we do in the first course when we do a character turnaround. We try to move to understand the volume, how it goes, without changing the proportions or the character, basically. I'm not sure if I answered the question.
By the way, if any of you also have questions you'd like to get answered, this is the perfect time to ask them.
Yeah.
So we'll have enough time to actually answer them.
By the way, how many people we have? How many people survive this this like technical theory-based lecture?
Well, we have I don't know because my stream isn't updating very regularly. Right now, I see at least 10 brave souls.
Yeah, 10 survivors.
That are challenging themselves on the perspective. So
yeah, because
kudos to you.
perspective can be a little bit boring. It's not as cool as like dynamic as a movement. But guys, this is basically like how to say, so important knowledge that without it you cannot do any movement in cool movement in perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Danny's saying, yep, they understand. And thank you.
Nice. Well, We don't have more questions?
And there is a question from Loopy Arts. Question goes like this. How do you do voice acting in perspective shots? Or is that an entirely different subject?
I mean,
You mean like acting in general?
yeah, I mean, in acting in general, in perspective, it means like you always have to draw your line of horizon, even in the acting shots, because it will influence, for example, this again, this is our eye level. And if my character moves in space, because sometimes our characters not just stays and open the mouth, sometimes they can get emotional, or they can move, act something like do some gesture, etc. They sometimes move like closer and further from the camera. Or for example, when it's just like higher, sometimes we have line of horizon lower, so we see the head of the character, like that. If it goes higher, if it goes lower, or the angle of the head, if it just turns, it basically helps us to understand the volume, understand how it works. Without it, we just basically do it with our eyeballs, and sometimes students just get lost, and sometimes it doesn't work. For example, even when we have some kind of gesture, or just like a three-quarter position. Look, just like in a three-quarter, our elbow, I mean, our knee, shoulder is here, and opposite shoulder is here, because it goes in that direction, right? So that's why it's important to put everywhere perspective grid, because it shows you how everything moves in perspective, even if your character is standing in one spot, because of the angles angles um, of your body in perspective.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Yes, we answered. Hopefully, the answer was satisfying enough. And if we got it right, but judging by the chat, we did get it right, the meaning of the question. So let's give about 15 more seconds to get one last question. And if there's not going to be any, I think we can slowly roll this very technical workshop to a close. Up, and we do get a question. When animating movement of a character in space, is there a specific rule for line weight, or it differs from project to project?
What do you mean line way? I don't understand.
Like how thick it is.
Oh,
Like does
again,
perspective and
yeah, yeah.
space affect the thickness?
Definitely for every project, the further character will be from the camera, the thinner will be lines. But it basically, yeah, of course, projects to projects, it depends what the normal thickness of the lines, basically like standard thickness. Maybe there is super thick lines just in normal shots, so it's still gonna be thinner when it's gonna be like further, but just thicker than in other project. But again, in perspective, everything will be thinner. It depends of the project how thin it will be, because sometimes you cannot go like thinner, because it's going to be invisible or pixelated or out of the style. And sometimes you can just simplify the character to keep like almost the same line thickness as in a standard, slightly smaller, but just less details, and it's gonna save it because you don't have to draw every detail with a thinner line. It's not gonna worth it.
Mhm. That kind of thing happened to me on one of the projects. We had the same line thickness everywhere, but if the character was really far away, it had 3 or 4 times less details.
Exactly.
Just big blotches of color. You can
Yeah,
still
exactly.
recognize the character, so it still works.
Yeah.
Well, I think this could be a good last question to our workshop. I'm very happy to see very interesting questions. I thank you for putting the big word question in all caps for me. I appreciate that a lot. But with this, We got maybe like one more quick question. How would one beginner animator practice animating in perspective with like simple geometric forms? Is there any specific exercise you can recommend
I
to
mean,
start with?
first of all, I would go to the internet and find pictures from of the some streets, maybe some buildings or something simple, and just try to just copy that and first of all draw a line of horizon and how vanishing point works, how everything goes in perspective. So try to understand what you see, how it works in perspective. Uh, Maybe also another thing, how to do live drawing of the mm, of the real world without going somewhere. For example, everyone knows about Google Drive, Google Maps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you can just go whenever you want in the world and just put the guy somewhere. And you can just pick some, maybe it's not very beautiful, like interesting place, but if we go somewhere, if I click here, am I changing? No, I'm not. Okay, I will go to the coast. Maybe it's gonna be nice. Yeah, for example. And see this line of horizon. So you can just change the angle and draw, for example, or yeah, it's for example, it was a bike. It's very nice. You can just, for example, draw the bike, understand, and try to implement it in the perspective. For example, again, you check. Okay, this is our line of. Where's my? This is our line of horizon, and you can draw just like boxes, for example, or just simplified version of, for example, these bikes, how they laying on the ground, and for example, how their shapes go into perspective, for example, right? Or go to different more structured like places, for example, the city, I don't know, like here, and you can draw the house, for example, and how it goes in perspective, or something else. Again, you can change perspective because you can lower your line of horizon, you can make it higher. It's up to you, and study like that. Just try to understand perspective by drawing it, drawing perspective on anything.
Mm-hmm.
And also put the character, for example, or if you see some people like here on the street, you can draw them as bricks, also implemented in this perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that.
I can personally add, if the panoramic view is getting a little bit too much, you can just zoom in,
Yeah,
scroll into a specific part of the screen, and the perspective is going to get a lot easier.
yeah, exactly. It's
Well,
also what
sounds-
I said about the lens, more long lens and wide lens. So when you zoom in, zoom out, is basically what you're gonna see the same. I mean, that's what I said. Wide, narrow is, yeah.
So yeah, I think this is going to be the perfect last question we're going to have today. We did get like a general one. If there's going to be a recorded video version of the stream, yep. First of all, you can scroll all the way back to the beginning and start watching from the beginning. That's how I think YouTube live streams work now. And of course, yeah, the video is going to be published eventually. So as I said in the beginning, whether you're watching this live or in the recording, you're always welcome to learn something new. So, with this, we can finally roll the workshop to a close. Thank you for being here with us. This was a very hard topic to grasp and especially try to implement in your daily practice. But I will always want to see the results if you try doing something like the exercises Edward suggested today in the Discord link below. And of course, if you want to start your animation journey or you want to continue it, it doesn't matter if you're a new artist or only starting or trying to achieve a new level. There are courses that are perfect for you in 2D animation, visual development, and of course, in short film creation. So they will give you enough knowledge to jumpstart your journey already in the industry. So I appreciate everyone for being here today. Thank you, Edward, for providing us with such insights. Thank you, Vitali, for keeping everything afloat. And I saw some compliments about the design of the stream today. So also kudos to you. And of course, thank you for all of the active chat users who decided to join us today and ask such great questions. And of course, a little bit thanks to me for speaking in the beginning and the end. And of course, see you on the next workshop or in the courses. Maybe we'll see your works shine in the beginning of the stream next time. See you.
Bye-bye. Hello everyone, this is Animation School. My name is Edward Kurchevsky and I'm professional 2D animator based in Paris.
Bobby, would you care for a piece of pie?
I studied animation over 10 years in one of the top schools in the world, and now I'm ready to share my knowledge with you. In the past 4 years of teaching, my students achieved remarkable results and working in studios like Cartoon Saloon, Skiald, studying in schools like L'École de l'Image and CalArts.
I'm not sure what we've got here, Charlie. But if we've got what I think we've got something.
Our goal is to prepare qualified professionals in a short amount of time during our intense course. We are here to also create a bridge between you and studios and help you find your first professional position in industry. Online studying became one of the most important parts in worldwide education system, and I am pretty sure with us you will achieve great results. Good luck!
a scratch.
We are in Buckingham Palace, the very heart of the British nation.
Attacked by Christmas toys? That's strange. That's the second toy complaint we've had.
Да-да, я знаю, что это звучит дико.
Butcher, he says he wants a two spaghetti speciale, heavy on the meatball.
Right, gentlemen, we are the bravest and most superior men on this battlefield.
It's so powerful you are. Why leave?
Before we begin our banquet, I would like to say a few words.
He is so dumb. He thought that the Gettysburg Address was where Lincoln lived.